What if the water you drank could quietly kill you before winter even arrived? In 12th century England, one failed harvest meant hunger, and one wrong sip could mean death. Through the cold mist of dawn, a wooden sign creaks above a lonely alehouse, its painted tankard not a symbol of leisure, but of survival itself. Would you recognize it in time? Before we step inside, tell me where you're watching from, and join this journey by liking and subscribing. Because what waits beyond that door may change how you see history forever. The wind settles low across thatched rooftops as the first gray light reveals a narrow dirt road, leading the weary toward timber walls darkened by years of smoke. Mist clings to the earth, blurring fences and grazing land. While the alehouse sign sways gently, its creak cutting through the stillness like a quiet promise of refuge. Inside, warmth pushes back against the damp breath of morning. The hearth has been alive since before sunrise, its fire murmuring beneath a ceiling of soot-stained rafters. Smoke drifts upward, curling into shadows, while the floor, layered with rushes, absorbs spills, footsteps, and the quiet evidence of survival, releasing a scent of straw ash and human presence. Long wooden tables stretch across the dim interior, waiting. They are not arranged for comfort, but for necessity, built to hold bodies close, shoulder to shoulder, as villagers, laborers, and travelers gather without ceremony. Outside, the cold isolates. Inside, proximity becomes protection. You can hear it before you see it. The soft murmur of voices, low and cautious, shaped by a shared understanding that survival is never guaranteed. Conversations drift between crop yields and weather patterns, each word carrying weight. A poor harvest is not inconvenience, it is catastrophe. And then the first traveler steps in, cloak damp from mist, boots heavy with mud. For a moment, the room pauses, not in suspicion, but in recognition. Another soul has made it this far. Because here, entry is not just arrival. It is escape from cold, from hunger, and from uncertainty that waits just beyond the door. Above the fire, suspended by iron and soot, hangs the center of everything, the cauldron. It does not simply cook, it sustains. Within it, pottage simmers, slowly thickened by barley, and oats shifting with whatever the land has allowed that season to yield. Peas, beans, leeks, and cabbage dissolve into the broth, releasing an earthy aroma that fills the room, not rich, but reassuring. This is not a meal of choice. It is a calculation. Every ingredient represents labor, time, and survival measured in careful portions. If fortune has been kind, a fragment of salted pork melts into the mixture, transforming the pot from sustenance into something closer to comfort. But such moments are rare, and everyone in the room knows it. No one asks for more than their share. The sound comes next, the scrape of wood against iron. Ladles move slowly, deliberately, filling bowls carved from ashwood. Each portion is measured not by hunger, but by necessity. Too much today could mean too little tomorrow. Rough hands receive the bowls with quiet reverence, fingers curling around the warmth as if holding something fragile. Steam rises into cold air, brushing faces marked by labor and uncertainty. No one speaks while the first spoonful is taken. Beside each bowl rests dense rye bread, dark and heavy, sometimes used as a trencher to absorb every drop. Nothing is wasted. Nothing can be. And in that silence, broken only by the rhythm of spoons against wood, you begin to understand this is not simply eating. It is survival measured one bowl at a time. At the far edge of the room, beyond the glow of the hearth, stand the wooden vats, quiet, unassuming, yet essential. Inside them rests ale, cloudy and mild, its surface barely stirring, but its importance impossible to overstate. In a world where water can carry unseen dangers, this drink becomes something far greater than comfort. It becomes safety. Brewed from barley and fermented with practiced precision, ale flows even at sunrise. It is not strong enough to dull the senses, but rich enough to nourish the body. Children drink it. Laborers depend on it. Travelers trust it more than the streams that run through the fields. And behind this quiet transformation stands a figure often overlooked, the alewife. Usually a woman, she works not in spectacle, but in knowledge passed through generations. She understands the timing of fermentation, the balance of grain, the subtle shifts of temperature. In her hands, brewing becomes a form of early chemistry, an instinctive science shaped by survival. There is no room for error. A spoiled batch is not inconvenience, it is risk. The wrong balance could sicken those who depend on it. The right one sustains an entire community. Tankards are filled and passed along the tables, their dull surfaces catching flickers of firelight. No toast is raised, no celebration declared. Instead, each sip is taken with quiet awareness. This is liquid bread, a phrase not spoken aloud, but understood deeply. For a moment, as warmth spreads through the body, the edge of hunger softens. Not gone, but held at bay. And in that fragile balance, the alewife's work becomes invisible, yet indispensable. By midday, the rhythm of the alehouse begins to shift. The quiet of morning gives way to a low, steady hum as more villagers arrive carrying not only hunger, but news. With them comes something rare variety. From distant coasts, salted herring makes its way inland, its sharp scent cutting cleanly through the smoky air. It is not fresh, but it is preserved reliable, another calculation against time and decay. Each piece is divided carefully, its presence a reminder that survival sometimes travels across unseen distances. Beside it, mustard seeds crushed into a coarse paste bring a sudden heat to the tongue. It is a fleeting sensation, but powerful enough to break the monotony of grain and broth. Hard cheese follows aged until firm, sliced into portions that must last. Onions and garlic lend strength, their flavors grounding the meal in something familiar. But every so often, something unexpected appears. A trace of pepper, a hint of cinnamon. These are not ordinary additions, they are signals. Evidence of trade routes stretching far beyond the village, connecting this dim interior to lands the patrons will never see. How did such things arrive here, in a place defined by scarcity? Through merchants, through risk, through long and uncertain journeys. Each grain of spice carries with it the weight of distance and exchange. For those who taste it even briefly, it offers more than flavor. It offers perspective. Because for a single moment in a room bound by necessity, the world feels just a little larger. As afternoon fades into evening, candlelight begins to replace the gray light of day, casting long, wavering shadows across timber walls. The alehouse grows fuller, warmer, louder, but never chaotic. Here something subtle begins to shift. Outside these walls, life is defined by hierarchy. Lords and laborers, landowners and tenants, each bound by duty and expectation within the rigid structure of the feudal system. But inside that structure loosens, if only slightly. A man who tills the soil may find himself seated beside one who owns it. Not as equals, but not entirely separate either. Between them sits the same wooden bowl, the same coarse bread, the same uncertain future. Conversation moves carefully, at first shaped by habit. But hunger is a powerful equalizer. Discussions of harvest yields failing crops, and approaching winter begin to overlap. Concern replaces status. Survival becomes the shared language. An older voice rises from the far end of the table, an elder recalling a season when famine stretched longer than expected. His words are not dramatic, but they carry weight. Children nearby listen closely, absorbing lessons not taught, but lived. Save what you can waste, nothing, trust the rhythm of the land, but never fully. Even the presence of meat, perhaps a modest mutton stew this evening, does not shift the tone into celebration. Instead, it deepens awareness. This is temporary. This is not guaranteed. Tankards lift not in triumph, but in quiet acknowledgement. A silent agreement passes between them. Whatever comes, they will endure it together or not at all. And for a brief moment, hierarchy fades into something more fragile, yet more human, shared uncertainty. Night settles slowly over the fields. pressing cold air against the timber walls as the final embers of conversation begin to fade. Inside the alehouse, the rhythm of spoons has long since stopped. What remains is quieter, more deliberate. The fire is no longer fed with urgency. Instead, it is managed with care. Embers are drawn together and buried beneath ash preserved for morning. Firewood is not wasted, not now, not ever. Every small decision echoes into the days ahead. One by one, patrons rise. Cloaks are pulled tight belts, adjusted small knives secured at the waist. There are no farewells spoken loudly, just nods, brief glances. The kind of acknowledgement shared between people who understand that tomorrow is never promised. Outside, the road glistens faintly beneath starlight. The cold feels sharper than before, cutting through wool and skin alike. Yet something has changed. The body is warmer, the hunger quieter. For tonight, that is enough. Behind them, the alehouse door closes. Its walls, dark and steady, hold the memory of countless evenings, just like this, of meals, measured carefully, of voices, shared cautiously, of lives, balanced on the edge of uncertainty. To modern eyes, the simplicity of such meals may seem austere. But within that simplicity lies something far greater: adaptation. Every bowl of stew, every crust of bread, every sip of ale reflects a system built not on abundance, but on resilience. If this story changed the way you see the past, take a moment to share your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share this journey with others who seek to understand how people endured when survival was never guaranteed. Thank you for watching. And wherever you are in the world tonight, may your table always be warm and your future certain.